Lourdes from New York City asked this question. My daughter lives in a women's shelter in New York City. She is addicted to heroin, like many of the girls there. The shelter has obviously been put under quarantine, and I'm concerned about my daughter going into withdrawal while locked down. Should I be more afraid of her contracting COVID-19 or dying of heroin withdrawal? Uh, Dr. Sophy, let me start with you. Let's talk about the medical aspects of this because there are complications from both.
Yes.
She says, what should she be most concerned about, as though we have to choose, and that's
Right.
either COVID-19 or the withdrawal from heroin. What
Right. I mean,
prioritize for us?
I would hope that there was some access to medical care for anybody in that shelter, even if it's 911, to be able to deal with the withdrawal from the heroin, because that's going to be the one that's going to present itself the most and the quickest and the most fast. Because once she doesn't have a dose, she misses 1 or 2 doses, she'll go really into a heavy detox.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, so we can cover it for everybody at home. What are the drugs that people are taking the most now? Heroin, these opioids, anything else that if they go cold turkey on their own because they're isolated, it could create major medical problems. Certainly, heroin is one, of course.
Yes, heroin, all the opioids, any of the cocaine derivatives, Molly, those kinds of things that people might have been doing on a regular basis. They got them on the street. Now they don't have access and they're going to go through withdrawal. Their cardiovascular systems are going to suffer. Their brains obviously are going to suffer, but it also, remember, it then puts your immune system at a huge compromised state, which is going to then open you up to COVID.
Okay, so when you're talking about these drugs, and I'm talking about going cold turkey, it's that let's say they're quarantined, so they don't have access to their source if they were getting them off the street. And so just with an absence of access, they start going into withdrawal. And what are the first symptoms you're likely to see if a family member is going into withdrawal?
And that's a great question because it's going to be very confusing between that and are they having the beginnings of COVID? Because it feels and looks like the flu. You get a fever, you feel achy, you may have vomiting or nausea, diarrhea, sweats. So it's going to be very difficult to tell the difference. But nonetheless, it's going to mimic it very well. And it's probably, hopefully not both going on, but at least one of those is going to be going on.
Okay, so the message we need to have for people that are doing drugs, whether they've been honest with their family or not, if they start having these symptoms and they haven't been having access to their drug supply, they need to be transparent and say, look, guys, I don't want to get into this now. We can talk about the morality of this later. We can talk about your judgments of it later. But I think I'm going into withdrawal here. And
Right.
if it's COVID-19, 85% of the time I'm going to ride this out. If this is withdrawal, I could die. So I'm telling you
Correct.
straight up, they need to
Yeah.
be transparent about this, right?
Yeah, yes, and they need to get access medical care quickly because they could really go down quickly, especially the higher doses of the drugs, the longer and the quicker they'll go down.
All right, Coach Mike, what do you say to these addicts that have been dependent on these drugs to encourage them to be transparent and just flat put it out there and say, look, I don't want to, I hate to introduce this now.
Mm.
If you've known I'm on drugs or maybe you haven't, but I need to be straight up with you here. I'm addicted and this could be withdrawal. And that's much more serious to my immediate health, much more serious threat to my immediate health than COVID-19. What do you say to those addicts to get them to be honest?
Well, first, I just want to say I'm so appreciative of you bringing mental health into the conversation because right now everyone's afraid of COVID-19, but you're so right. There's so many mental health and addictive issues that are going on right now. The good news is solutions are really quick. So if someone went to Doctors on Demand, they literally, before you had to drag someone to an office to get an assessment, now you can literally knock on someone's door, say, I have a doctor on the phone, we're doing an assessment, and you're going to talk to him right now. And so there's a lot of solutions in terms of getting people help that otherwise we're just not going to doctor's offices. But absolutely, someone needs to get on the right medication protocol. Otherwise, it's going to be another crisis.